Hi everybody, my name's Derek. Known Ingrid. Ingrid's been a big part of my life for over 20 years. I met Ingrid, it helps if I put my glasses on. I met Ingrid, I was introduced to Ingrid in about 2002 at Rockingham, Kwinana Mental Health Services. I was interested in volunteering, and I was a young man struggling to overcome crippling depression and anxiety. Ingrid was to become my second mum. She took me under her wing and gave me peer support, helped me to see that I do have a future. I am worthy of being here. And then I was introduced to SPIN, as it was called back then, Sound Psychiatric Information Network, and consumer advocacy. I was so proud when Ingrid gave me the badge that read Derek Holland, Consumer Representative. This is where my recovery and my career in mental health and peer support really began. Recovery from anxiety and major depression didn't happen overnight. I experienced much struggle, self-doubt, relapses. I'm so grateful to have had Ingrid only a phone call away, or to drop in on a Tuesday night when Frank was at his darts, and Ingrid would say, hurry up Frank, my toy boy is coming over. Today I'm living the life of my dreams. I'm happy, healthy, have two beautiful young girls, and I am now the peer support coordinator of East Metropolitan Mental Health Services. Without Ingrid's love, peer support, guidance, I would not be where I am today. Thank you, Ingrid. My second mum, you will always have a special place in my heart and be loved forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. That was lovely. If there's anyone else here who would like to say a few words in honor of Ingrid, please feel free. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Yeah, Ingrid was very, very special. She knew Jesus loved her. There's one little testimony. She said that Jesus knew everything about her and looked after her in every little way. One time she wasn't able to get out, and she said she really fancied a Mars bar. And a friend dropped by and delivered a Mars bar without anyone asking. So Ingrid, thank you for her testimonies, and it sounds like everyone's been touched, and isn't that wonderful? Thank you. God bless you all.
This is from Sally, Ingrid's best friend, and Frank. Ingrid and I have been the best friends for many years. We came together over our mutual love and dedication to mental health advocacy. Although I considered Ingrid to be my best friend, I must acknowledge that she was a friend to many. I would like to read a poem now that Ingrid wrote for all her friends and the consumers of mental health services, to which she dedicated many years of her life. Valorization, Ingrid Bentsen. Consumer, not client, is what they now say. Assimilate, not interrogate. No hostel of... I'm sorry, I can't see this properly. No hostel of or group home. Perfect. Here you go. Thank you. Thank you. Consumer, not client, is what they now say. Assimilate, not integrate. No hostel or group home. Not ever. No way. Close down the buildings. They are old, inhumane. They encourage dependence. Send them insane. Epileptics, unwed mothers, Down syndrome, the poor, women of husbands who had slept with a hoe, the left-handed, deaf child, homosexuals, the old, the child with high spirits who wouldn't be told. Cerebral palsy were seen to be crazy. The depressed, unwashed mother who was labeled as lazy. All locked up in the buildings, kept out of sight. Regular beatings and rapes in the night. Now, well, we don't get lobotomies, which often went wrong, or the purges and bloodletting. Thank God they're all gone. Improvements? There are some, I do not deny. Though not all change improves life for you or for me. Society now is far more understanding of the physically challenged or educationally demanding. But what about us in the revolving door scheme? In one door, out the other, just like in a dream. Evaluate, medicate, then vacate the bed. Back home, in a short time, new drugs fog our head. Often family disownership. She's lazy, he's weak, with no support networks, so we just eat or sleep. Some don't pay their rent, but they're out on the street, just the clothes on their backs and the shoes on their feet. Drug addicts, street kids. We now have a new label. Don't they realize we can't work because we're not able? Clear them out of our streets. Disgusting, you cry. A real waste of space. We wish we could die. Please don't prejudge us or turn us away. It could happen to you. Then what would you say? We don't choose to be difficult, moody, or lazy. We certainly aren't stupid, or cuckoo, or crazy. We are caring of others, artistic and strong. Some say our brain chemicals sometimes go wrong. Don't turn back the clock and hide us away. Don't reject us, accept us how we are today. Knowledge is not wisdom. Love is unconditional. Don't see me as my diagnosis, for I am an individual. Wow. That's amazing. I now invite Tim, Ingrid's son, to speak and close the service. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. The beauty of having a mum like my mum was I got to share it with everybody. Mum was beautiful. I just want to share a testimony though of when I had depression, and I don't want to upset anybody in the room, but I had what was called we've got a physical world, we also have a spiritual world, and I went through a situation where I got really depressed for a long time, and I ended up on medication. And I phoned a mate up, a good brother who's been through a lot, and I phoned him up and I said, look Mark, I said, I've got faith, I've got this, I've got that going for me, everything going for me. I said, and I'm on tablets and I'm still miserable. He said, get in the car, come and see me. So I got in the car, drove all the way down to San Remo and Mandurah. He saw him, then he phoned these other guys up and he goes, get in the car. So we got in the car. Go to this little house at the back near Rushton Park, a bit of a rundown place, but there's a little table out the back, and I get introduced to two other people. This was a divine setup. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. He introduces me. He goes, Tim, this is Tim, Tim, this is Tim, Tim, this is Tim. And this guy's name was Mark. My middle name's Mark. South African Tim stood up and said, can I pray for you, brother? And in my pride, Bible college, all this knowing, all this stuff, all these experiences, prophetic encounters that I'd had, I'm thinking, go for it, but there's not a thing you can tell me and there's not a thing you can do. He prayed for me. This thing lifted off me. I'm not saying this is for everybody, but this is for me and this was my encounter. I burst into laughter and I couldn't stop laughing for 15, 20 minutes till my guts were aching. My jaw was aching, and I was set free that day. I've never had another tablet. I accept that people need to have medication. In my fellowship, we believe strongly in that. But that is my experience. And I have had moments, but it hasn't been chemical, and I understand people have chemical. Mine was circumstantial, and mine was spiritual, because through my own wounds, I opened up gateways and sought comfort in other areas, whereas a man of faith I shouldn't have. And when I opened those doors, things came in and hassled the hell out of me, literally drove me through to hell. And I just want to give a testimony of being set free that day. And I would want that for everybody to be set free. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. You love my mum. I just want to pray a blessing over you. Lord, I just ask that you bless everybody in this room. Bless every home that they represent. Bless them in their workplace. Bless them in every area, aspect of their lives. Just give them a big supernatural hug and show them your DNA, show them your fingerprints in their lives and just how much they mean to you. My mum come from a long line of adoptees. I never knew my natural father. I'm going to share a little bit, and it might go a little bit long, but I want to tell my story, which is mine and my mum's story. And I wrestled with that, and I saw my mum wrestling with that orphan spirit of not really being bounced around and not really being accepted and loved like every child would. And it hurt. Mum carried those wounds. Mum carried those scars. There is a scripture, however, that is key. And it says, before the womb I knew you. Before the womb I knew you, and I set you apart. And in that is like destiny and predestination, that none of us are a mistake, unwanted pregnancy. None of us are a mistake, and everybody has a purpose and a place. One of the earliest memories I have of Mum, by the way, I'm not a religious nut, but I need to give testimony to the Lord. One of my earliest memories of Mum is her teaching me the Lord's Prayer in song. And I won't try and sing it. I'm a drummer, not a singer. But one way how we teach the kids is through melody, and they retain the information. I want to thank the Lord for choosing Ingrid to be my mum. I have the fortunate thing, and I'm not boasting, that I've known Mum longer than everybody, being the firstborn, and that's an honour and a privilege. Yeah, I think I beat you by a couple of years, yeah. Yeah. Look, many called her Ingrid, Mum, Nana, Naughty Nana, Gigi. And her nickname was Flutterby. For those that knew Mum really intimately in the early days, that was quite a nickname. But Frank called her Love and Ingrid. And I want to thank you, Frank, for loving my mum, mate. My mum was an incredibly strong and resilient woman who overcome so much. Yet I can see and hear some of its toll on her in her later life. I could feel her pain from some of her woundings. Love is a spirit and knows no boundaries. We had a unique relationship where we could both sense each other and would often ring each other or text each other at exactly the same time. Here we are. I was just thinking about the venue and the Salvation Army and the great work that the Salvation Army do. I know Jean was a member of the Salvation Army years ago. The Salvation Army has an incredible legacy. One was the great Anzac chaplain fighting Mackenzie, who was at the neck in Gallipoli. He was once a raving alcoholic who served the soldiers in the trenches. Another great testimony was one of New South Wales' greatest cops. His father was a war veteran who had post-traumatic stress disorder and spent... I need a tissue, by the way, sorry. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Before it touches the beard. Another great testimony was one of the New South Wales' greatest cops. His father was a war veteran who had post-traumatic stress disorder and spent all the money gambling. His mother had 5 or 6 kids and had reached the end of herself. She taped all the windows up and was preparing to kill herself and all the kids after dinner that evening. Then there was a knock at the door, and a Salvation Army officer came knocking to invite her and the kids to a meeting. They attended, and the minister had a word of knowledge, a word of insight into her situation that revealed what she was about to do. And as a result, she surrendered her life to Christ, raised her children in the faith, and her son became one of New South Wales' highest policemen who used faith and the leading of the Holy Spirit to solve and often prevent crimes. Mum's journey started at the Salvos, and her send-off continues here at the Salvation Army. Mum was put out for adoption through the Salvos and placed in a Norwegian family home. Mum was born Paula Woodward, and then was named by the Norwegian family Ingrid Bentsen. Excuse me. Mum's Norwegian father twice survived sinking by the Germans in the Merchant Navy. On one occasion he was one of 2 or 3 survivors, and the second he was one of 12 survivors or so, yet he couldn't swim. He saw light and hung on to the debris. Mum said the father was amazing and loving. We often used to get letters back and forth from the UK and the old airmail, thin paperwork. And we kept in touch. But Mum said the father was amazing and loving, but the mother was not so, and was quite often cruel, manipulative, and used harsh punishments to keep control. Mum was often told she was an orphan. I think that's cemented a bit in her DNA. Mum made up for it with a liveliness and things, but she carried some deep scars. As a result, Mum left home early. At 16, she was homeless. One time, whilst admitted in a hospital for mental health, the ward was due to close for Christmas and throw my mum back out on the street. The nurse got permission to take my mum home for Christmas, and so she spent Christmas with a couple named Glory and David, her husband David. Glory and David would later become my godparents and would move from the UK to South Australia. One time they drove, there was a HR Holden on our driveway once, and I would come home from soccer training, and these people had packed up their HR with the Venetian blinds on the back and drove all the way from Adelaide to Perth just to come and say hello. It was amazing. At 18, Mum again was homeless, this time pregnant with me. She sought termination, but was told it was too late, yet said she felt a rebuke in her spirit and a sense of purpose in accepting motherhood. Despite her fears as a young girl, faith took over. Mum literally hung out with prostitutes and sinners. Her best friend, Jenny, was a prostitute. Yet my mum loved her and never judged her, and they become really close. Jenny will feature in this eulogy a little bit later. In a share house, it was my mum's turn to go and get the money. Remembering she's pregnant with me. But Mum got caught trying to steal, breaking into a house, and instead of calling the police, they sat my pregnant mum down, fed her at their dining table in their warm home, and she was given a hot meal, soup and support. For over 18 months, I've been enjoying and growing in a fellowship called Paradox, out on the Old Man's Road on the corner of 50 Road. They run the crew there that feeds the support and those that are in need in our community. Yet they also have a support network and housing for single pregnant mums called Lilia Haven. Mums are often fleeing horrific situations or practices. Paradoxically, it's situated on the old Salvation Army camp. There's a bit of a connection with the Salvos there again. Recently, Lilia had their first mother give birth there. They've done up their little units up at the back, and you know they're protected there, and they sometimes come to fellowship, but we don't push faith on them. They're learning in a safe zone. They've got heaps of support network and love. And once we had that birth, there was the young one. There was heaps of joy throughout our faith community. I often thought of my mother when they're plugging the Lilia Haven and talking about it. I often thought of my mum, and when I see the ladies and hear of the continual work and the plans and the achievements, even new plans where they've got some favour with the government at the moment, I have a sense of insight and compassion in seeing my mum in their faces. So often I would say, Mum would love this. One day at fellowship I was reflecting on this and noticed the emblem for Lilia Haven was a butterfly, which one wing is coloured in, yet the other one is yet to be coloured in. There's almost a prophetic picture there of like being halfway, still being under construction. And given Mum's name is Flutterby, I just really feel a connection. In the UK, we lived in army barracks, and Mum married a British soldier at the height of the troubles between the Irish and the English. We lived in Aldershot, where they trained the elite soldiers, and my adopted father served in Northern Ireland. It turns out later in life, though, that both Mum and I would find out that we have strong Irish roots in our blood. The British were inadvertently protecting us. We all survived the crash with an armoured personnel carrier back in the day, and I still remember it. Mum was pregnant with my sister. At the time, it was a bit traumatic. I was a bit of a handful for my mum at times. She saved my life 3 times as a toddler. One time, Mum had bought these fire red Wellington boots that morning, and we were in a black cab going down the motorway, and I was mucking around with the door, and Mum saw an orange thing go from there to there. You know, toddlers are head heavy. I was halfway out the car. Mum just went and grabbed me by my ankle and pulled me back into the car. I jumped out of a double-storey window into the coal pit, and Mum went out, and ours was the only one that didn't have a concrete lid on it. I thought I could fly, so yeah, I thought I could soar, and she's gone in there and got me out. I think one of the photos on there, all my face is all scratched up and black and all that shit. I think she took me straight down one of those booths to get a photo, capture the moment, you know. And another time I drank a toxic substance, and I got sent to a hospital. And when we got home, they were telling my mum that she was a bad mum and that she should have been paying more attention and looking after me. Go, Ronnie, I just seen you here, brother. Hallelujah. And they're all telling Mum off, you know, you should have been paying attention and all that. And I've snuck off again, climbed 3 shelves up onto the basement, got back onto the top shelf and drank the other half of the bottle. Hallelujah.
Is now a good time to confess that me and you used to get into a liquor cupboard and
Yeah.
drink up the tea?
Oh yeah, well I think most of us have done that. Mum and I were best mates. We used to dance in the puddles, holding hands and singing in the rain, as you saw on one of those videos with Gemma. We didn't care, you know, dark, cloudy, rain, wet, stormy, whatever. We just we held hands and we sung. We had lots of fun, especially on day trips on the bus, even the old 120 from Rocco to Freo, if anybody remembers the 120. Big trip out. Mum immigrated to Australia with 2 kids and $50. 16th of July this year, Mum sent me a text, happy anniversary, and I didn't know. Mum would remember the date. That was 50 years we'd entered Australia. Next year will be our Jubilee, 50 years in Rockingham. I'm believing for good things. Mum came to Australia hoping to reconcile with her husband. She was united with her husband, yet the marriage only lasted another 5 years. We lived in East Freo initially and had horses out the back, and the Italian community in Fremantle on the Cappuccino Strip, famously known as Cappuccino, absolutely adored my mum and my sister Angelina, swearing that Angelina was Italian because she had the olive complexion off the other side. We then built a home and moved to Rockingham. We had friends that had a shack down in Warnbro, and we used to go down and stay in the shack, and then we saw the beautiful coast, and we were sold hook, line and sinker. Mum worked at the Rocky Hotel under Gino and Grumpy Jack. Mum worked at the Naval Base, and she cleaned the toilets at the BP refinery. I missed a bit here. After the breakup, my mum would continue to pay the mortgage and keep the roof over her head. She held 3 jobs at once for a while. Things were tight during the year, and there's only so many ways you can eat chicken soup. But we never missed out at Christmas. We always had a major present and a few practical ones. And yeah, Mum's work ethic, 3 jobs at once, keep us going. So yeah, this is our 50th year in Australia, next year 50th in Rockingham. We grew up with music in the home, even back in the UK. Here's a little story. I'm a drummer, I love drums, and we had reggae playing in the house the whole time, and you should just sit on the potty just doing that. And reggae rhythms on the 3, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's called the drop. So I think that goes with the potty as well. Mum saved up for a Kenwood stereo, and we took turns in saving up and playing records. We were very sad when Elvis died on my mum's birthday in 1977. Later, when I found my natural father, he was born on Elvis's birthday, which I thought was quite ironic. When I was 15, I heard a phone call at 3 a.m. in the morning, and then I heard my mum going, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." It was her natural mother. Just rang her out of the blue. The salvos had released the information to her, and my mum was finally connected with her natural mother. Well, I'll just digress here. When my mum went back to meet them for the first time, one of those photos was the brother, and it triggered a memory that Mum actually got to go to a game which was Liverpool versus Everton. I think it was a Community Shield, and there was a player playing on that ground called Gary Stevens, and Gary Stevens ended up immigrating to Australia, and he lived 2 houses away from my son's partner's Faith's family, and they had a son that passed away, and he actually got to hold my grandson. So it was an amazing connection. And my mum was over the moon. So yeah, it was her natural mother, and as a result, my mum's mum come and visited over here. My mum ended up on the front page of the West Australian. Mum also, in the South Fremantle jumper there. That was a derby between East Fremantle and South Fremantle. Big packed stadiums back in the day. Mum happened to be walking past. Somebody said they had Tony Morley, if you remember Tony Morley, the Morley family, to put the jumper on Mum and took a photo, and the rest is history. But Mum was glamorous. When Mum went out, she walked in a room and it's like the room stopped. She carried a presence, and she didn't use that to her advantage. She was just all like, let's enjoy the moment. At 23, I had a profound encounter with the Lord in the family home. I wasn't in a good place. I was seeking the Lord and answers for my life, and that night I had an encounter and that I couldn't deny, and then so began my faith journey. This also resulted in my whole family getting touched at that time. My mum, my adoptive father, I believe my sister went to a prayer meeting once and got touched by the Holy Spirit. Something happened in our family. We have drifted in different directions a little bit here and there, but He's still Lord of our lives. A little later, I was married, and I wanted to know who my father was, as we were wanting to have children. I'd like to thank my ex-wife for coming today, and Elsie for coming today. Beautiful people. I kept hearing a voice of conscience from my sons, who weren't even born yet, saying, "Dad, you're my dad, but who's your dad?" And I wanted to be able to answer that question. Not for me, but for them. It was a touching, painful subject with Mum when I quizzed her, but I was only asking out of a pure heart and without judgment. But it kept causing friction, and obviously Mum felt, Mum's got some pain there, and so did I. And so I thought, well, I better put my faith into action. Stop relying on Mum for answers. I'll say a prayer. So I said a prayer based on Mark 11:23. Speak to that mountain, and it shall be uprooted. And the prayer of faith, where there's no doubt at all, no doubt. And my natural father rang me 3 months later, almost to the day. What had happened, my mum did try and help. And Mum had put a news article, contacted her friend Jenny. Remember I said Jenny would pop up? Contacted Jenny and asked her to put in a news article looking for my natural father, last seen Clifton 1968. And what had happened, it turns out when I met my natural father, he was adopted as well. And his adopted mother saw the article and cut it out and kept that information to herself and never told my father. When I prayed, turns out she passed away. They went through her estate, they saw the newspaper article, they pulled it out, they gave it to my dad, and my dad phoned that night. And so it was connected, and there was the Irish connection. When I was at Bible college, my favourite band was U2. I used to drink Guinness, and I used to hang out at Rosie O'Grady's in the Northbridge doing my book reviews like C.S. Lewis used to do. And probably said that I didn't have as many Guinnesses as I actually had when I finally got home. But I'd see the coat of arms and I'd go and stand amongst them all during St Patrick's Day, not even knowing that I myself was Irish. But this led to a breakthrough for Mum, because I went and met my father, and I'll get on to Jenny again, but what ended up happening, met my father, came back, some things happened in my personal life. Then my sister, natural half-sister, tracked me down on Facebook. And I saw a Terry Sheridan. I'm going, who's Terry Sheridan? My sister in Leicester, England goes, that's your auntie. Dad found out he had a sister 8 years ago. She was adopted as well. And basically, I said, and she goes, and guess where she lives? I went, where? She goes, North Perth. My auntie lived at North Perth. I got to meet her and my cousins. We had to find my family sort of get together. Now, my auntie Terry, on one of my birthdays, there's a photo of up there, I invited my mum and Auntie Terry and all that, and the boys come, and my neighbours, to bless my neighbours, and we went down to Sunsets, and Mum and my Auntie Terry hit up a friendship, and then my mum helped Auntie Terry, being a PI and everything like that, having their own international security business, helped my mum track down family members as well. So Mum finally got some answers. So by Mum helping in the way that she did through a friend, ended up coming full circle, coming back and blessing my mum. And Mum, like Jack said, when it come to Ancestry.com, trying to find all those links was just amazing. When we went over there, I met Jenny. I didn't just want to meet my natural father, I wanted to meet Jenny to honour her for her friendship to my mum, and my mum being like my mum's hands and feet. Jenny was on her deathbed in a hospital in Bristol. Chantel and I went up and visited her. The nurse said that she hadn't opened her eyes for days. Went up there, I went up, do you mind if I go in there? I went in there and I called her name, and she opened her eyes up, and I just said, hi, I'm Tim, I'm Ingrid's son. I've come all the way from Australia just to say hello, right? And she went very frail and very weak and just nodded. We went out the stairwell. I'll never forget the day. I went down the stairwell. I just prayed. Prayed in tongues. I just prayed, just like a warfare prayer, right? Well, Jenny survived, and she lived another 15 years, and she come out and hung around the pool with Frank and Mum and holidays out into Australia. Yeah. And there's a story about a guy called Hezekiah that got an extra 15 years of his life in the Bible too. And I was standing on that word. Mum Mum got to enjoy chilling with her best mate while they both sunbathed around the pool. Childhood was fun with Mum. Summers at the Cruising Yacht Club, the Umaru cruise, Sunday sing-alongs. She'd take us surfing in a purple Tirana. We'd load our roof racks and surfboards and go down the Anstey track. The whole car was just shaking like that. It cost her an arm and a leg in petrol, but she took us. She organised drum lessons for me with Andy Bailey, who's here today. I think he only charged $1 an hour or something, my sister was saying earlier on. But thanks bro, and thanks for coming. Also, Paul and Linda, long-time friends. Ellis. Mum went out with Paul there for a little while, and Paul was a policeman. So when your mum's going out with a policeman, don't ever get caught shoplifting. And if you do get caught shoplifting, make sure that you're not staying at the policeman's mother's house at the time while they've gone away for a weekend. And that's what happened to me. I watched a Who Dares Wins thing, and I wanted to be a little soldier, so I went and grabbed some black electrical tape to tape up a gun to pretend to be a soldier at the Mud Lakes down there on Safety Bay Road, Safety Bay, and I got caught. And but Mum wouldn't hold back. Mum knew the shopping centre. Mum knew all the police and all that, but she still made sure that I went to face the music. And even though they gave me a caution and a warning, Mum wasn't. They're all going, Ingrid, we can make this go away if you like. But Mum made sure that I broke that habit. I've been working in, it's a good job because I've been working in the prison system ever since, the last 20 years. Might have blown it. We've got some library stories now. At the moment I'm studying Cert 3 in Library and Information Services. I know it's a bit long-winded, but I have to get all this out. Library stories. When I was doing my certs, I remembered that my first day at high school, Mum forgot to enrol me in the high school. So I rocked up like person X, who is this person, you know? But it was when I got home, Mum goes, oh, no, you probably just didn't bring the forms home, you know? So I spent the first 2 days of high school in the library. And another little library story, Mum was always into books and learning and everything like that. So we were at the TAFE library once. You know what libraries like, they're dead quiet. And pardon me for this little story, but I farted really, really loud. And at the same time that I did it, I went, Mum! And Mum just cracked up laughing and could not stop laughing for about 20 minutes, half an hour. We still carried on laughing, eh? Mum once went on a holiday with a boyfriend, went over to Nullarbor, over South Australia, whatever, meet some family. They had a Barney, and Mum was out of there. So Mum hitchhiked all the way across the Nullarbor. Some truckie gave her a lift. Anything could happen, but Mum wasn't putting up with his junk. And so off we went. We've met infamy, both Mum and I. We've got a couple of stories. We've met some characters. When won the America's Cup, both Mum and I went to see the Fremantle Town Hall when they were presenting the cup. And I picked up one of them little boxing kangaroo flags, and these people come and tapped us on the back and as the crowds were gathering up near the banners. And I said, oh, excuse me, where can we get these from? And I said, I just found it on the floor, and it was Alan Bond's mum and Alan Bond's sister. And so we struck up a great conversation with them, and then of course Alan Bond comes out and he does, the first hand that he got to shake was mine and then my mum's. As he got out of his car, he'd done that typical business double handshake, you know. So another one, infamy, the Bernies. I always said to Mum one day I'll meet the Bernies. If you're not sure who the Bernies were, they were quite a ruthless couple. Obviously, I met him. That's too long a story, but I was in the department. And so I knew I'd meet him, and I finally met him. A real rat of a man. That the spirit that was behind that was filthy, disgusting. My mum had a stoush with the Fremantle City Council over a parking fine and refused to pay it. It wasn't me. I'm not paying the fine. And it went on for ages. In the end, she had to hand herself in and spend a couple of nights in prison at Bandy Up, and she was 2 cells away from Catherine Burney, the partner with crime. So we had a bit of a connection there too. I've got another one here, but I'll leave that one out. Mum loved Jojo Zepp. There was a photo there. Jojo Zepp and the Falcons, if you remember. Better Shape Up, or whatever the track was. Formerly, and then he became the Black Sorrows. Mum loved them. So Mum went to the Raffles Hotel all by herself, being an independent woman, and just to watch them, and got to meet him that time. And then when I heard that the Black Sorrows were coming to play, and I'd met Vic and Linda Bull before, the backing singers, I took Mum to the music club at Fly By Night Club in Freo to meet him, and we got to meet him again, and we had a photo there. So Mum was over the moon with that. That was great. Mum's 70th Bali was a memorable event. It was amazing. Both my sons and my friends came along, happened to be over there at the time. It was a really good time. Also, my 50th was a very special time personally, as Mum really blessed me. We had a little get-together at the Warmer Tavern, and it was a really good time together. My sons, Jack and Gemma, and the kids. I really, really treasure that. I have heaps of photos of that time and a lot of interaction with Mum and I, mucking around and trying to kiss her, and she slapped my hands, and just a playful fun, which really means a lot. So Mum was full of beans that day, and she was so happy, and we were all just chilling together. Mum was proud of all of her family. She loved Eli and Joseph, Shani, and Faith, Sonny, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, Sonny and Airlie, the latest addition. To know where Mum had been in her childhood gave you an understanding of why she was so proud, passionate, sensitive, and easily hurt sometimes by those that she loved. That orphan spirit kept trying to whisper to my mum that she wasn't good enough, but I was proud of her. Mum was there in the good times, Mum was there in the sad times. Mum was there when I was a broken man, and Mum was shoulder to shoulder in the trenches with me and sharing the spoils of war and victories. Mum was Mum, yet did her best sometimes at trying to be a dad. Mum was a fighter. Mum was a pioneer creating a path for us. We're all here because of Mum. Mum could light up a room. When she entered it, the atmosphere changed. She had a presence. Mum is now a seed. All seeds must die to live. And Mum's seed will grow and live on and flourish in her children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren. I love you, Mum. I hope you're enjoying your room in the mansion. When I did little athletics, Mum would come and assist and help. And when we ran a race, she'd cheer us on. And the Bible talks about a great cloud of witnesses watching from above, looking down. It says that they're cheering us on. So Mum right now has the best seat in the house. So in closing, I just want to say I love you, Mum, and thank you all for coming.